Hi guys, welcome to this video. This one's a little bit different from my normal content. It's something I was working on last week. It's quite a simple thing to do, but it's something I wanted to share with the world because I've not seen many people do it. Now this here is the cooler from the new Radeon 470. Now it's exactly the same as the cooler from the 480, except it's missing a little bit of copper in the main heatsink. Now the heatsink is an incredibly simple old style heatsink, as you can see in there, the silver bit. There's no heat pipes whatsoever. So what I've done is I've replaced this on the card with my old 270 cooler, which as you can see does have heat pipes. It's got much nicer fins for the cooling. It's got two fans instead of this horrible blower style. It's just a lot better. And this was rated for 750 for 150 watts TDP, whereas this here is only looking to clear 120, which is of course my 270. Now I did a little bit of research before I ordered these because, as people will know, this one here is the cheapest 270 you can get your hands on. And to be honest, this cooler is absolute crap. It is noisy as hell, and I knew I was going to replace it before I even ordered it because I found pictures of the PCBs online. And if I line those up perfectly, what you'll notice is the actual chip is in the same place. Apart from up here and down here, the RAM is all in the same place, and it should fit. I mean, it does fit. I've done it. The only thing that needed work was just a couple parts on the heatsink itself. Now, as you can see here, I've cut away there and I've cut away there, and that is basically because on this side here, these parts here were closer, as you can see, than on this one here. The longer board being the 270 and the shorter one being the new 470. This one is probably about twice as fast as that one from my tests. It's a much nicer card. It just had that really noisy and hot cooler. The 4-pin fan header is exactly the same. Both of these are Sapphire, it's worth mentioning. It's a Sapphire 470 and a Sapphire 270 as well, so in theory they should be using similar designs. And basically what I found is that this cooler here touches all of the RAM. It's perfectly positioned for the CPU cooler. The spacing between the screws that hold it on fit perfectly, and when it's placed on top, it's only slightly, if I get the orientation right, that's right, it's only slightly longer than the card, whereas if you take a look at this here is a lot longer than the card is. So this was making it much bulkier. It's actually a lot thicker there as well. It was obstructing my PCI slots as well, so I couldn't use a USB 3 card that I had. This is much thinner. As you can see on the camera there's some nice little heatsink bits and loads there, and this does a fantastic job of cooling the memory. Now there's one piece of memory that isn't cooled by the heatsink, unfortunately. As you can see if I do that, this is one at the front here, that one there. Now I've taken the heat pads off the RAM on this card and put them onto this one, and they're just sticky enough. I've had this going for about a week now to hold that in place like that. That's not going anywhere until I can buy a more substantial solution for that. That's just a really small blue heatsink that I've had for a long old time. Really light aluminium. The other thing that it's not cooling is the VRMs here. As you can imagine, I was quite nervous about that. So what I did is I basically put the VRM heat spreading bit here on top like that, and monitored the temperatures really closely during games and things using a hardware monitor. Now that seems to do the trick. I've got a big fan on the top of my case, which is 250 mil or 25 centimeters, basically blowing straight down on the card, and it seems to do a great job of cooling everything on the card, even though it has no heatsink on it, as you can see when I do that. And I suppose this fan here is actually blowing through these fins here onto the top there, and that's probably doing a little bit of cooling. You never know. Yeah, so installation, incredibly easy. You put down the heat pads that we're on the 270. Then we plug in the 4-pin. You can see here, that's going to power both of our fans and allow it to control the fans through the software. Then we line it up like that, trying not to touch any of the PCB as we go, just the edges. And there you can see, once that's tightened up, there's no light. One of the things you're going to be looking at if you're modding this sort of thing is you're looking for light right down there on top of the chip. If you can see daylight through there, so hold it up to a light, there's no contact between the two, and you need to do something to ensure that there's a better fit. So that's that. Then it's just a matter of grabbing the 270 fixings and screwing it down. As the famous Linus Sebastian from Linus Tech Tips is always reminding us, tighten them diagonally and try not to damage anything while you're doing this. Here we go. Sorry, the camera angle's not perfect for this, is it? Da, 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 da. Making great video, this, isn't it? Absolutely fantastic video. I just wanted to show how quick that you can do this. Now I've put my screwdriver so that it's in the reverse mode, it's in the loosening mode, and so when it gets to a point where it's getting any resistance whatsoever, it starts slipping, and that's just my basic way of ensuring that it's not over tightening on the PCB and everything underneath. And that is it. We've got our fan plugged in over here. We've got a lovely heatsink on top of the 470, and that is how I use my 270 heatsink to cool my 470 instead of this heap of junk here. Now this, I'll admit, this looks amazing. It's a fantastic looking heatsink, and the back plate as well. Unfortunately I couldn't use the back plate on there either, which was a bit gutting, but there we go. So yeah, that's how I did it. Because this is a strange video, not like one of my normal ones, I'm not going to put up all the links at the end like you normally see on my videos. So what I'll do is I'll just say thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Stay well, guys.